Hello there, many thanks for joining us on the business desk on TVC Breakfast. It's barely 24 hours to the last working day for the year 2021. But just before we go into the details of this and much more, let's bring you stock market operations that we've seen so far, which seems to be flowing with the Christmas season, the entire Yuletide, scaling down business activities, and even some holding back investible funds. We're looking at the stock market in Nigeria today, and EFFIONG EKOP has some details.
After the long Christmas holidays, investors and fund managers resumed securities trading at the stock market. The volume of trade was small as holidaymakers recalled funds from the market, leaving the value of deals lower than 2 billion naira. Also, the market index showing movements of share prices was down by a large margin of 1.18%. Boa Cement took the heaviest loss calculated at 10%, while May and Baker and PZ followed with losses at different price levels. Union Bank maintained its position as hot stock in the market, gaining nearly 10%, followed by Royal Exchange Assurance and Sovereign Insurance. The stock market has 2 more days to trade securities this year. EFFIONG EKOP, TVC News, Lagos.
And joining me now to discuss much more on the highlights of the year 2021, looking at stock trading and the performance we've seen on the Nigerian exchange, I have with me Vincent Oshoma, a stock trader who is joining me virtually. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning, Vincent, and happy holidays.
Good morning, it's my pleasure.
Now, let's start with some of the biggest highlights that we had for the year 2021. We saw the demutualization and then the transitioning of the Nigerian Stock Exchange to the Nigerian Exchange Group, PLC, which has been a new era for the nation's capital market. Talk us through some of the highlights we've had with regards to this new phase.
Yes, the demutualization of the exchange is something that has been in the works for a long time, and it was good that it was actualized this year. So, which has made the exchange a listed company. We now have the Nigerian Exchange Group, and you have some subsidiaries. Nigerian Exchange Limited is a subsidiary of the Nigerian Exchange Group. They also have a real estate and also the regulatory subsidiary. So it's a good, and it's listed in the market, and people can now trade on the stock. And in terms of activities on the stock, we saw a rise, a lot of activities when it was listed, a lot of interest. It rose to as high as 25 naira. Before we saw it coming down. But for now, it has stabilized. It's currently trading at 19 naira. It closed at 19.40 yesterday.
And also now, let's look at some of the trends we've also seen in terms of the volume and value of transactions seen so far. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, we are wrapping up the year 2021 and also prepping for the year 2022. In terms of the volume and value, are you impressed with the current figures we have as of now?
One thing is that when you're comparing 2021 to 2020, we saw a lot of activities in 2020, especially towards the later end of 2020, which made our market to be the best performing market in the world, according to Bloomberg, based on the market that they were watching. But so compared to that, we didn't see much of those activities and didn't see much such performance. But when you look at what has happened, we say that relatively it has not been too bad as the market tried in terms of because we are coming from a high of 2020. But it has not been the best of performance for the market this year. Currently, year-to-date performance is at 3.8%. And so compared to last year where we had 50%, over 50%, so you see that the market is down compared to last year.
And also looking at the fact that recent reports have also shown that we've seen a total of 7 companies getting delisted their shares from the Nigerian Exchange Limited this year, which is up from the 5 we recorded last year. And on the other hand, we've also seen the stock market record some new listings, about 4 companies, up from 1 which we had in 2020. Let's talk about the delisting and new listings that we are having.
Yeah, the listing is a normal process, part of the process in the market, because for companies that are not performing in terms of sending in their results, so they are expected, when they don't meet with the requirements of that listing, after some warnings, they are expected to be delisted so that we can have a more transparent market. So we saw about 4 companies out of those 7 delisted based on involuntary delisting. You call that involuntary delisting when they fail to meet their performance. So we also saw about 3 companies delisting voluntarily. It has to do with based on their goals, based on their plans, and also like we saw 11 PSC, which acquired the former Mobi Nigerian PSC and delisted from the stock market. Though it's still trading on the NESD, the trading on the NESD, because it's still a public company. It's only because, and one of the reasons they gave was that there have not been much activity in terms of the stock after the acquisition from Mobi, Exxon Mobil. So we also saw Union Diagnostic, and we saw a new investor, and I think based on the plans and interest of the investor, it's asked for voluntary delisting. In terms of the listing, we saw Brillings, we saw Global Resources, and also the Nigerian Exchange being listed. Those are the 3 listed companies. And like you mentioned, it's good we have 3 compared to last year we have 1 when we had 1. So it shows that we are having improvement in terms of listing, which has been in the law for a long while in terms of primary market activities in the market.
And we just have a few more hours into 2022 now, talking about the expectations for the year. We know the trading floor is now just a closed door and we are all trading remotely. But do you expect, irrespective of the Omicron variant, do you think we'll likely see the floor opened once again? We've missed the whole funfair and the activities on the floor of the exchange. Do you think we'll have that anytime soon, come next year?
That's true. A lot of traders have been looking forward to the market opening, but it depends on what happened with respect to the COVID. Because initially around August there was discussion about the market opening, but we now saw different variants coming on, and so it has to be suspended for now. So it depends on what happened. After we see more variants, or we're going to see a closed chapter in terms of the COVID. But I think one way or the other, as we see more vaccination and more controls, I think one way or the other they will look at the best time to open the market, because we don't want to put the health of the traders that put it at risk, coupled with the workers, because beyond the trading floor, the workers, employees at the Nigerian exchange, they are working remotely. So it's all boils down to what happens with respect to COVID. That will determine the reopening of the trading floor.
The closing bell is one of the biggest highlights we have on the daily trading. But also looking at the fact that we're wrapping up the year as well, what's also your forecast as well, how things will play out? We had the initial Christmas holidays and the market was closed. We had half-hour trading on the 24th, and then we are expecting another holiday by the 1st, 2nd, and then market resumes once again. Do you still think the bearish sentiment will trip into the new year as well?
Yeah, there have been a lot in activity. The market has really been quiet because of the absence of any catalyst to push the market. But the only thing that we can look at is the activities of portfolio managers as they rebalance their portfolio. But the good thing is that with what we are saying, though the market was bearish after the reopening, we hope that the market still closes positive. We have just 1 trading day today and half trading day tomorrow. So I hope that the market will close the year positive while we look at what happens in the new year. And one of the major things is that we're still going to see the impact of the market, the impact of COVID on the market with respect to the new variant and also other activities as we get into 2022. But we are positive despite the political issues that will impact economic activities next year. But we are positive, especially in the first half of next year. We are able to see positive activity performance in the market.
Thank you very much for your time on the Breakfast Show this morning, Vincent Oshoma. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. We keep our fingers crossed and we'll be back again in the new year to talk about conversations around havens investors should look out for and the biggest winners for the new year. Thank you very much once again and happy holidays.
Thanks for having me.